So instead of having to have the stress or the pressure of people saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, I just like walled up in a healthy way. And like I didn't tell anyone that didn't need to know anything.
I mean, not that I don't think everything needs a friggin' study for you to make a parenting decision. Good gracious.
Because again, you know that kid more than anybody knows that kid.
Welcome to Under the Sun podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started and thanks for being here. Cheers.
Cheers.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Welcome to today's podcast.
We're back.
We're back in our OG location, which I'm so excited about.
Me too.
You can leave. Jacob
Joey.
was.
I wish I had that on video.
You're gonna peek in. Say hi to Jacob, everybody. He helped with setting everything up. Basically, making it look perfect. Love you. What?
They said help.
Hey, I helped set up.
I cleaned.
I mean, you did most of it, but I also don't know how to work your Get up! Love you.
Tangerine.
Tangerine. Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Oh, it's not morning.
We woke up very early today.
Yeah,
I don't know
maybe
what
you
time
saw
it
it
is.
on our Instagram, but we went and got coffee together at like 7:30 this morning.
It was nice.
We ain't morning people, but we went and we did it.
Yeah.
We can do hard things. Like we
Yes.
tell our kids we can do hard things. So we went and planned out the next 2 months of podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Um,
we have some fun special guests coming in and some good topic ideas. So thank you to everyone that answered our poll. We kind of got a good sense of feelers out there of what.
I'm gonna Photoshop. I'm gonna.
Here we go.
I'm gonna Photoshop. Okay. I'm gonna post it in the feed. Oh, goodness. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for answering. So now we know roughly where to go with our content.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we shouldn't get up early.
Apparently not.
What are we talking about today?
Let's do any life updates that. So we went to Wyoming.
Yes.
We had a great time. We interviewed Dry Creek Mama. Last week you read that. We also have some just footage that I have not edited yet because we have terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes
So
of
much
footage
footage.
and so many photos I took while we were there as well that I also need to go through.
I forgot we kind of did a not really a full mini podcast because the children, but we did like a mini car episode. We didn't do it. I think all we did was say welcome and then.
Oh yeah, did we do anything with it? I'll have to watch
I
it.
don't know.
If it's something to post, if it's something good, we'll maybe just even post it on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
we had a great time there. Like I said last week, we bought a house. So
Yay.
if you ever moved with a child, it's been fantastic.
She was. It's just.
It's extra.
You don't want them to get like the underlying thought of like, am I going to drop a box on your head? Are you going to knock over this thing that's balanced?
Nothing, like you don't know what's safe yet. Like when you're in a new house,
Yeah.
like you can't really like let your guard down. Be like, oh yeah, we're in the living room where everything's already been baby proofed, and so. But I did get her room set up, and she really, really likes it.
Yay! You have to send me a picture.
I will. We just hung her canopy that she got like from, the shower last year.
That was me.
Was it you?
I think it was me.
Oh, I thought it was someone else. I'm so
I
sorry.
don't remember.
Well, thank you. If it was you, it looks
I think
so
I got
cute.
you a canopy.
I
got you a canopy for your birthday.
That was like 10 years ago, Irene.
Okay, well, I did not get your baby a canopy. I bought you a canopy.
Yeah, I remember that.
decade. I
remember
forgot about it.
Well, and also that really long pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. We've been friends a long time.
Yeah, we have.
But it's all
That
going.
reminds me, I might need your sewing expertise because I cannot sew. But I found my veil that I didn't wear for my wedding because I got tricked by the dress store into buying. I never wanted a veil. Never wanted to when I got married. I was like, because, hair. And then I had the dress on and she's like, well, just try this on. It matches your dress. And in the mirror, I'm like, oh, this is my dress. This is my veil. And then I got home and you can't return it. And I spent $120 on this veil that I didn't want. So I've saved it. It's been like wrapped nicely in a thing. And I want to make it into a canopy for Nova's bed.
That's super
Because it's
sweet.
like, it's long enough and it's
Yeah.
drapey and it has like a 2-inch ribbon kind of ribboned around
Aw.
it. So I might
It's
need.
so. How is your wedding dress like stored away properly? I literally just found mine in the bottom of a tote. Like, I was like going through and I was like, oh, good, my summer shoes. And oh, there's my wedding dress.
Mine was, we had an outdoor wedding, and so it was just full of outdoor stuff. And I meant to clean it that year and never did, and shoved it in a box. Yeah. And Jacob was like, why do you still have that? It's not like if we have a daughter, she's going to want to wear it. I'm like, she can't wear it. It's my dress. But if she wants to play with it, then I want her to be able to. And then I never got it dry cleaned. Well, some good friends of mine basically cleaned it for me for free. And it's super sweet. So. But yeah, they did it. I dropped it off and I went to go pay for it. And they're like, no.
It's really nice.
Take it. And I was like, thanks. So
really
now it's all clean. It's not going to mold. It's probably going to chemical.
I might have them do that
also,
too. So that like, because now that I have a daughter.
Yeah.
Like I had this green guitar I always toured with. And it was the best guitar. Dave got it for me for my birthday. Actually, all of my instruments have always been gifted to me, which is really nice.
That's awesome.
My first guitar was from my parents, and the second guitar was from Dave, and then I guess the third guitar we bought together. But I was like, oh yeah, like but we didn't have Leo. I wasn't even pregnant. We weren't even thinking about having kids yet. But I was like, I got rid of. I got a newer guitar, a nicer guitar, and I was like, oh, I'll just give the green one away to another little girl who will like learn to. Play guitar on it. That'll be so great. And then she can take on that lineage. And then my mom was like, oh, what if you have a little girl someday who wants it? And I was like, that's dumb. I'm not sentimental. And then now that I have a little girl, I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't get rid of it. It's so weird. I'm not a sentimental.
That's what happened with Jacob's Jeep.
Oh, yeah.
He sold it off. So my husband had his very first car he ever had was a Jeep that he loved. And then found it. You did find it. And it wasn't drivable and it needed so much work done. It wasn't even really worth it. So he's like, I'm just going to sell it because we can't just keep storing it. And I said, one day you're going to have a son and you're going to want this Jeep. Like I wanted him to know I am not the one forcing you to sell this. I think we should just drag it with us wherever we go. And then he sold it. And then 2 years later we had our son and then he was really sad that he sold it.
Yeah.
So, and I remember telling him after he sold it, he's like, I kind of regret it. And this was before kids too. I immediately DM'd the guy on Facebook and I was like, hey, if you're ever getting rid of it, please tell me. And then he messaged me, 3 years ago and said, hey, 2 years ago, because Nova was a newborn, and was like, hey, I'm getting rid of the Jeep if you want to buy it back. So he's going to do a little video series on like something like the Jeep I bought twice or something. Yeah. But it wasn't until he had a son. He's like, man, we could have worked on it together. And now we have it back.
I got all that footage of when he got it delivered.
You do? We can't find it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just need to give you that excitement.
That's okay.
But I think I thought he had it. He thought I had it, and I had already given.
Yeah, hard drives.
It's the worst.
Are the worst.
Yeah,
but he has my footage, which is not as great, but it's like a memory.
Yeah.
At least.
Oh yeah, for sure. Wow, that was a tangent.
It was.
Any life updates with you? Anything?
I don't think so. My nail's about to fall off. So for those of you that have been tracking my nail that almost fell off, it is about there.
Yeah.
I usually have a Band-Aid, but I've gone through all the Band-Aids I have. That's my only update.
A fingernail.
Just my fingernail. Well, I wasn't concerned that the nail was going to fall off because I knew it was going to. I was concerned with the damage that I did to the cuticle that it was never going to grow back, but it's growing back fine. So.
Oh, is it growing back? I'm not going to look at it.
Don't show me. Don't look at it. But you can like see the nail growing underneath the broken part. So that's
Stop giving me this update.
That's about my only update.
Okay. Well, then today we're going to talk about healthy boundaries during pregnancy and postpartum.
Yes.
Irene has had 2 pregnancies and 2 postpartum experiences. I've had 1. It depends. If I'm ovulating, man, I'm like, oh, I want 40 babies.
Yes.
All running around the farm. And then when I'm not, I'm like, you get away from me. I don't want this.
Yep.
The child, not the... Anyways, doesn't matter. But
anytime I eat something that I'm allergic to, or I accidentally get gluten and I puke in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, I can't do this again. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm like, it probably wasn't that bad.
Thank you, Lord, for hormones that make you forget.
Mm-hmm.
But also I have a whole video of... to remember, like we just rewatched Leo's labor and delivery vlog that I posted on YouTube, and like we did like commentary on it, which I need to edit and post. And then as I was watching it, I was like, I remember all of those feelings. Like you forget until you're like I like watch it.
Even getting pregnant the second time, I forgot, and some part of me is like, I'm gonna have to go through labor again, whatever. And it wasn't until the day I actually went into labor and the midwife was like, all right, we're gonna have a baby today. It like hit me like a train and I just started bawling, and she was sweet enough.
Your first time was hard.
It was, but she was nice enough to say, like, I think she could tell it was a terrified crying, not like a
Yeah.
happy crying. And she's like, every labor's different. Every story's different. This will be completely different than the last time. And
Yeah.
she was right.
Which in the coming weeks, because we have planned ahead, yay us for being
Yeah.
adults, we are going to tell, Irene's going to tell her 2 birth stories, which will probably just be like a longer episode.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell my one. And then I filmed both of her kids being born, which was actually before I really did cinematography. Oops.
But they're beautiful.
And then I have all the footage for mine. So it might be like a little bit of a documentary type situation.
Yeah.
That will probably need both of us to
Yep.
go through. But
Yep.
yeah, so that being said, healthy boundaries within, pregnancy and postpartum, it's a very, it's a wonderful time, but if you're not careful, I'm sure if you're pregnant and you're watching this or you've been pregnant, you've heard that like the second you tell someone like, oh, you're pregnant. Well, when I was pregnant, this is what happened. And it's just, or like, family overstepping their bounds of like, you're giving birth where? Are they professional? Like, do they know what if something goes wrong? So there's a lot of opinions when it comes to pregnancy, delivery, postpartum. And I actually did a video on my personal channel of healthy boundaries, but this is just slightly different. So, because it's both of our perspectives.
Yeah.
So, you want to start? Or you want me to start?
You start.
Okay. This, honestly, I have notes here. I have my lappy toppy because my cell phone broke.
Oh, yeah. That's an update.
So,
She's cell phoneless, and it's weird.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide. I might switch to Patriot Mobile. Not sponsored, but might switch to Patriot Mobile. We'll see. I'm just waiting to... I'm honestly like trying to manipulate Verizon a little bit to be like, give me a discount or I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
First off, let's just say that this is your pregnancy.
Yes.
No one else's. Obviously, your spouse was involved. So there is that. But it's your pregnancy and nobody loves that baby like you do. So a lot of the times, even boundaries can be talked about with family and friends, but also with your care team, your medical providers. So if you're, in the first trimester and you're talking about your dreams of having whatever birth you want, we don't care. We don't care what birth you have.
Yeah.
But you're trying to communicate your needs and wants and desires within your birth. And they're just shutting it down or saying, oh, honey, we'll see how it goes. Oh, honey, like you say that until transition or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's okay to have healthy boundaries with basically everyone in your life, even your medical care team. So nobody loves your baby.
Your medical care team is fireable.
Yes.
Everyone in your life when you're giving birth is fireable.
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Because
at the end of the day, you're doing it alone.
it's
yes, with
you
the
and
team,
that
but-
baby. Yeah.
It's just the two of you.
Yep. And truly, for me, this was like having Leo making the decisions, like the hard decisions. Like we switched providers at, 37 weeks and went to a home birth. It was like the first like badge of honor of like, I'm taking ownership of motherhood. Like nobody is responsible for this baby besides me and my husband. Like nobody cares for her. Like, and no one knows her. No one knows that, oh my gosh, like she developed so much today. Like she's doing this today. Nobody knows her like I do.
Yeah.
So you can't just hand over our children to these people who are experts. Anyways.
Yeah.
That was a tangent, but
So boundaries for me, I know with the first one, I am typically a little bit easier to be a pushover. And I knew in the instance of having a baby, I knew what I wanted. And I didn't want to feel ever like I'm being forced to do anything by anybody. So instead of having to have the stress or the pressure of people saying, do this, do that, do this, do that, I just like walled up in a healthy way. And like I didn't tell anyone that didn't need to know anything.
yeah, that's great.
So you have to do what makes you comfortable. If being comfortable for you is having all of your family in the room with you, that's great. And if being comfortable to you is being alone with your husband, then those are the things you have to do.
Not everybody wants the same birth experience.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
However you want to birth is your thing, but
Yeah. It's your experience to own. I guess that same thing with you talking about like you don't have to notify everyone that you're in labor if you don't want to. We're kind of going to bounce around between like where you're at, like pregnancy and labor and stuff. But for me, it was very like you were a great example because you just kind of you went into labor and then you notified people the next day that the baby was born.
Yeah.
And I love that because Jacob then wasn't on his phone the whole time being like, oh, this is the update.
Gotta update everybody.
This is the update. And through all of my research and the podcast I listened to before going into labor, I was like, it just feels like an extra stressor. Like I already don't like it when when I'm literally like late to come podcasting and I feel that anxiety and pressure that someone's waiting. I need to hurry this up. You can't control birth that way. You just have to let it take its natural course.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't want anyone to know, even though people beforehand we notified like, hey, like, we're not letting anybody know when I'm going to labor because nobody's invited to to the birthplace, which was again a healthy boundary to put up of like, there's this, I picture like I Love Lucy. I don't know why, but of like everybody in the waiting room and dad's in the waiting room with the cigar, and then the mother has the baby, and then everybody comes in after, and everybody else holds the baby, even though the mother just met the baby herself. Like she's actually never seen it Earthside.
Like you've got to have some time to bond.
You have to. Like honestly, we had Leora, and then just walked to the bed, and I think you held her. And the midwife like measured her. Yeah. But then other than that, it was just like me, Dave, and you, which is.
Yeah. And ours was, both kids came out, my post-birth, after birth pains were pretty intense. So I held the babies and did skin to skin as much as possible. And then when I needed like a minute to not drop this slimy, watery baby, then I handed him or her, both of them, to you and Jake. And then I never felt in that postpartum time though, I think because I was so like cautious of who was there, I never felt like someone has my baby, give me my baby back. It was just like, okay, you two are
that's when
in
you
my trusted circle. Here you go. I need to
handpicked us.
Take care of myself for a second so I don't drop him.
Yeah.
And then it was a good thought. And I would have been the same if there were a bunch of people in the waiting room. I would have been just stressed. Or if a bunch of people were asking for updates, it's like, oh, I gotta hurry.
Yeah.
You can't hurry.
You can't hurry. And so I had someone say like, oh, I don't know how you would ever be worried about someone in the waiting room. Like I remember like coming in and out of consciousness and being like, and looking around and seeing like the daylight had changed. I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's still here waiting for me. Even though
I think you said that too, and all of us shushed you.
Like I hired like three of the 5 people who were there. I hired. Sorry, you were a freebie. Like I didn't pay you. It just comes with the friendship.
Yes, it does.
But like that pressure, you just don't need it, because you just need that oxytocin flowing. You need to feel safe. And I never had a second thought that like you were holding Leo or that Dave had Leo. It was because it was so intimate. It wasn't like people on step stools like watching you.
And you don't have strangers. At least in our experiences, you don't have nurses in and out every 30 minutes. It's like, these are the people here. I feel personally safe with everyone.
Yeah. Which is so important for that postpartum experience. And like uninterrupted skin to skin. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, so important.
Yeah. I guess that along those same lines, I have prioritized your bonding over everyone else's bonding. So for us personally, and people called me cold on my YouTube channel, but that's fine.
Really?
Oh yeah. They were like, that's harsh. I'm like, well,
it's your
honestly,
baby.
like you just like you carry this baby for 9 months, 10 months if you're me. And like you just meet it, and then you're expected to just hand it over like that day to like friends, family, everybody in between, and people are, which is lovely because everybody loves that new baby squish. I get it. Yeah. But like I think that's why postpartum depression is so high. Is because like the expectation is that we have to give our baby away, and this like like, oh yeah, take the baby while I go do something. It's like, no, I'm gonna sit in this bed for like 2 weeks. Like I was naked for like the solid first week. I had like my Depends diaper on, and that baby with the diaper on my chest the whole time. Oh yeah. And I feel like that's why like there wasn't a whole bunch of this emotionally postpartum. It was, I mean, there was some, but but
you took your time and you didn't let anyone else take the baby from you.
Yeah.
There is some instinctual feeling when someone's like, can I hold your baby? It's like, no, you're going to take it away forever.
Seriously, it is.
I would, not all the time, but in that first few weeks when your hormones are all over the place, it's like this baby has only ever known you, and you've only ever known it. And then all of a sudden it's out, and all of the thoughts of like it just disappearing is, it's weird.
I would say mine didn't go away until like, I remember her turning 6 months and me being like, oh, I'm kind of okay to like
go to the store alone.
Yeah. I just remember always thinking that was when I kind of stopped being anxious about other people holding her. Yeah. Like in general. Yeah. Obviously not Dave, but yeah, prioritize your bonding, because you get to wake up with it in the night. You get to be its like it's secure in you. It only knows you. So when you leave the room, like their whole world walks out of the room. So like your bond is important.
And that doesn't stop either. This is just a side tangent. When we both got up to get coffee today, and my daughter is 2 and your daughter is 1.
Yeah.
And somehow from the other room, as soon as I opened my eyes, maybe 5 minutes later, Mommy, I'm awake. And I was like, I got up an hour earlier than you. Why are you awake? And then her daughter woke up.
Yeah.
But even in separate rooms as they get older, I think because the
bond is
connected so much when she was born, that bond has stayed. And
there has to be a cellular thing.
there has to be. Because
right?
there was one, I know there's a whole lot, this is another side tangent, but with co-sleeping.
Yeah.
And people being so worried that you're going to roll over on the baby. And what if you sleep too deeply? And now that they're toddlers, I sleep through everything again. Unless it's a real emergency, then like my mom sense wakes up. But if they're just crying because they want water, then Dad can get them asleep. But there was one time, and I've probably told this on the podcast before, but I was laying in bed and I woke up immediately. And then I looked over at Nova to make sure she was okay. She was maybe not even 2 months old. And her little arm, she was asleep and her little arm was just in the air and her little fingers were doing this and nothing was moving on the bed. It was just her fingers moving. I'm like, there's no other reason. I bolted up and looked at her.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even like right next to me either. There was some space in between us. I was like, well, at that moment, I mean, she was already the second kid, but I was like, well, if I'm going to wake up to her wiggling her fingers in the air, then I'll wake up to her.
Yep.
Any kind of need. So that bond is
There are lots
incredible.
of updated studies. I mean, not that I don't think everything needs a friggin' study for you to make a parenting decision. Good gracious.
Because again, you know that kid more than anybody knows that kid.
Yeah. So we did co-sleeping as well. And I don't know, I didn't really realize it was such a controversy until the interwebs. But you know that baby and that bond is so, like, especially if you're nursing, like, it's so easy to, like, why lose sleep if you can just, like, roll over and pop a boob in its mouth? Like, honestly.
It's the best.
It is the best. Anyways, that's a side tangent.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that bond is strong. And I think because we knew ahead of time as much as we could to prioritize that bond.
Yep. Because it's kind of been a little watered down.
Yeah.
With, you know, the medicalized version, which is
You have a
fine.
baby.
Like a baby comes out and they immediately wipe it off and put cream on its eyes.
Put it in a plastic bin, wheel it away,
Put
take
a
it out of the room.
chemically smelling blanket and a hat, which don't put a freaking hat on your baby. Have you seen all this stuff?
Yeah.
That like it is so pertinent to the postpartum hormones that happen to smell your baby. Like smell your baby's head and don't let that hat on the baby's head. Like smell it. It helps your milk come in.
Oh, Jake was so annoyed because like both of my kids had a good amount of vernix on them, and he's like, bathe them. And I'm like, I was adamant.
Yeah.
That is one where I'm like, you don't really get a say here. You don't have to hold him for 2 weeks. I will, but you're not doing it. And
We didn't bathe her
they
either.
smelled so good. And Jake was like, they smell like rotten armpit feet. Can you please bathe them? I'm like, no, I love it.
But like it's something in our hormones that like knows.
Yeah.
Like I can still smell Leo in that time. Like I remember just like nursing her and being like it's seriously, it's just like it's like a big high. It's so great. It's so weird.
It's true though. That dump postpartum, I know not everybody gets it, which I have a lot of thoughts on that I won't go into, but that postpartum high is incredible.
Incredible. Incredible. Yeah. Anyways.
I liked to follow I know there's the like 2-2-2 rule when you're healing postpartum where it's like 2 weeks around your bed, 2 weeks around your home, 2 weeks around the neighborhood. But I kind of liked the thought of adding another 2 in there and doing it 2 days, at least 2 days of just me and the baby. And I think, I'm pretty sure it was 2 days with Riker. And again, it's different with each kid, but with the first kid, when you're scared and you don't know what to do and you've never had a baby before, it was 2 days of me just being with him before we even let like the grandmas come over. I think my mom flew in 2 days later. And that 2 days was just my adjustment to, okay, I have a baby now. What do we do?
Yeah.
So it was like, I like to add 2 days with just you and your husband and your baby.
I say at least 2 weeks with just you, your baby, and your husband.
When did your parents?
We did 1 week.
Okay.
We did 1 week. And next time we're doing 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's an additional factor. We have Leo now to bond.
Yeah.
And I don't want, I don't know,
Yeah.
people coming in and doting over a baby and Leo being like, but everybody used to love me.
Yeah.
And like, I just don't, I want to smell that baby by myself, like
Yeah.
by ourselves. I think that's
Yeah.
why our family bond is really strong.
Yeah. I think a lot of like with Riker too. My mom had mentioned it because she came in. She came in before Nova was born this time because we needed someone to watch Riker, and she had mentioned once. She's like, "You never tell Riker to go away." I was like, "No, he doesn't need to go away. He's 2, and he wasn't quite 2 yet, but he was excited. There's a baby, and I never wanted him to feel like, oh, you got to get away." So my favorite, actually, I should, if I find it, I'll post it. But my favorite picture postpartum, I just had Nova maybe 4 hours before, and I'm asleep on my back. She's asleep on me, and Riker's sitting right next to me in bed. And then I think Jacob took the picture, and that's my like literally my favorite picture because even postpartum, I wasn't like, get away from me, I just had a baby, or like, don't touch your sister. It's like, okay, you can come sit here.
You just welcome in.
And you know, if he went to go poke her in the face, I was like, you can poke her, just be very soft. And we never, like, so you're right. I guess that part of bonding, I don't think he ever had that sibling rivalry. Maybe a little more when they got older.
Yeah, but also you can't.
But like, you're gonna have sibling rivalry.
Don't have guests until you're comfortable, which I think is the same thing. And don't do things like if you're just uncomfortable with it, you don't have to come to a consensus with whoever, with anybody besides you and your husband or your like. That's it.
Yeah.
Like nobody has to agree where you give birth, how long until they can come visit. Like,
if you're more comfortable with
not like just passing the baby around like football, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Or if that brings you joy to see everybody else holding your baby, do it. Just do what makes you feel comfortable because hormones are just very finicky.
And you never know. One of your sisters, when she met Riker, was so sweet, and I think she waited like a week and a half or 2 on purpose. And when she finally met him, about every 10 minutes, because by that time I was like, yeah, sure, hold him. I was far enough removed from labor, I didn't have any feelings, and she went out of her way to say like, do you want him back? Are you feeling like any kind of way? Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm gonna take him. I was like, nope, you're good. Keep holding him. Keep going. And that was so kind because most people are just like, you'll be fine. I'll give him back when I'm ready. And it's like, no, that's my baby. Give it back. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, it's funny how that that commentary is pretty common of like, oh, I just need to get in my baby snuggles. You can go shower and go do what you need. It's like,
yeah.
If you weren't invited into the labor experience, like, you're not allowed to just like walk away with my kid. You know?
I feel like it's changing for the better though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's better
because there's that one there. Not to bash the older generation at all, because we can learn so much, but we're learning that just because someone's family doesn't mean they get to hold the baby or get to come over whenever, like,
or kiss the baby.
That's great that you're related to me and that's your family and that's wonderful, but I have to raise this child for the rest of its life. So these are my decisions.
It's a really great thing that when your child is about to be born or is already born to set that boundary, set that line of like, hey, like, we love you. We're excited that you're our village, you know? But our village even has, like, we have a criteria for the village. Like, just because you're in the village doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, this is separate, but we have a strict, like, no kissing Leo rule because we have friends of the family who have had, like, their child had a terrible injury and it's just a boundary that we have. That, and also, like, I showed a graphic that was apparently really controversial, I guess. But I don't know if you ever looked at the comments on that other video. But
I think I did.
I think I deleted a whole bunch of them because I didn't want it to be banned. But we sent out a graphic to family, friends, anybody that came and visited her.
Okay.
Of like, you know, all the things. No kissing the baby. Like, don't comment on mom's body because it's none of your business. Like, it's weird that people... It still happened.
Yeah.
But,
oh, no.
It was like, at least it was like, you look good even though you just had a baby. It's like, okay, why'd you have to add the last part? Just say you look great.
Yes.
Period.
Because that means I still look worse than I did before I had the baby.
But honestly, the confidence I had postpartum though.
Yeah.
Like, even though, like, I was on cloud 9. I was like, I am fantastic. Anyways, but we had a whole bunch of things of like, you know, hey, don't stay too long because we're exhausted, all the things. But we also had if you're recently jabbed, because she was born post 2020, and we just didn't want someone who was recently jabbed around Leo because I had a injury prior. Like, Leo would have been born, like, we would have gotten pregnant 4 months earlier. Like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But because I was exposed to someone who was recently jabbed, my ovulation got thrown off and I had painful periods for the first time ever, and it was awful.
Isn't it weird to think, though, that had you gotten pregnant 4 months earlier, it wouldn't be Leo?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Because you just assume, like, I would have been, but, like, it would have been a whole different human.
Yep. It's weird.
So
it's a blessing because we got our Leo.
Yeah.
But, like, that was a hard bound. And, like...
And not to get us banned any sooner, but not even specifically that one.
Yeah. All of them.
Like, I have a girl I know, her daughter had cancer, and her kids couldn't get the rest of them. So her kids were all exempt from school because her daughter with cancer couldn't get it. That meant the kids couldn't get their scheduled stuff and come home because for 2 weeks they would give it to her.
Yeah.
And so not just that one, any of them.
You know what? Earthly, this is not promo. Earthly, have you seen the brand?
Yeah.
Really great. Really great brand. Love them. We should actually reach out to
I'm
them.
gonna put them on my list.
They have a shedding book for like $10 that it has a crap ton of research. If you have any questions on it, just go buy the book and read it yourself because it's not our job to teach you, but there are lots of great resources on it. But usually like we sent that to friends and family too, because we do have friends with kids who choose to do that, which is whatever. It's your kid. You know what's best for them. Do your own research. But don't come around for at least a month.
Yeah.
Because ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, I guess my final thing is just, this is back to pregnancy. We kind of bounced around a little bit, but your guest date, this is like something I regret big time.
Yeah.
Telling people a specific date.
Yeah. I'll probably never do that again.
So next time I'm just going to say a general month, like, oh, we're having a baby in June or July, or like a window. Yeah. June, July, if it's like towards the end, so that no one's texting you all the time. Because when you're super pregnant and you're like near your due date and you're like still pregnant, it is so deflating.
Disheartening.
I never thought, I thought people were being dramatic, but like when you're like in it day in and day out and like someone's like, still pregnant? It's like, yeah, I'm still pregnant. I don't know what
Well, and even though you know, and I know it's just a guest date, when that date comes around, you're so miserable.
Yeah.
And like I could logically say, I knew it wasn't going to happen today.
Statistically, it's like
you cry all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think like the more you tell people, the more and you're always probably going to have that date in the back of your head, but I think the more you tell people, the more it sticks and the more when you pass that window, it comes and goes. But I think I remember telling a client with my second pregnancy, she was like, when's your birthday? And I think I said, oh, sometime in March. And she goes, well, when? I was like, I don't know, sometime in March. And then she got really off put by that. And I'm like, sometime in March? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's weird how other people can get so offended at your boundary. And it's like,
well, so have you ever read the book Boundaries? No. Well, I haven't read it, but I've listened to it many times on YouTube. Not. It's free. Just go listen to it on like time and a half.
Yeah.
And like your brain will be, you will not get something out of it. It's really great. But the people who usually oppose your boundary the most are the ones who benefited from you not having one in the first place. Yeah. And it is so true. I've set up very small boundaries with people in our life, and the uproar that happens, or the nitpick. It's
it's not my responsibility to make you happy or comfortable. It's my responsibility to be a person, and it's your responsibility to receive it how you will.
Bam. Nailed it.
I tell that to my children as my kids are at the ages where they're 2 and 4 and starting to fight a little bit. And the other day, my son was like, Nova's making me so sad. And I stopped him. I was like, Nova is not making you sad. Nova is bothering you. It's up to you to decide if you're sad or if you're going to let it bother you, if you're going to walk away. And then he goes, I'm sad. But I was like, the more I tell him, the more it'll sink in. But
yeah.
That point, he's like, no, Nova's making me sad. I was like, okay, well, you'll get it one day when you're grown up.
I always butcher the analogy, but like we are a thermometer culture when we should be a thermostat. We should set the temperature of us versus like going on the internet and seeing a post that you don't like about buckets and then getting all like feverish about how upset you are that someone said something. It's like, hey, relax a little. Yeah. Like just take a breath. Yeah. It's not a personal attack on you. Not everything should give you that cortisol spike. If it does, like
that cortisol spike, what is that telling you about yourself? Whoopsie. Yeah. But not sorry.
A little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I'm not a little bit sorry, but like it's telling. Like I even sometimes it's something like I hate the term trigger, but like if something makes an emotion happen, I have learned my toxic traits, and I because of like that PCM course. If you haven't listened to that episode with Dean Hefta, it's really good. His book actually just released. So go. We need to put that in the show notes of the other one.
Oh yes.
And like it's when I get triggered by something, I'm like, oh, what is that saying about me? Okay, what is that root? Not all the time, because we're not all emotionally stable all the time. But I like to challenge myself to be like, okay, why is that bothering me? Or why did that weird little comment someone make? Why do I keep running that over in my mind?
Yeah.
What is that? What truth is in there?
Yeah. I know that, I think more so when Riker was 3. He ate pretty well until he was 2. And then around 3, he started getting picky. And at that, when he was doing baby-led weaning, I followed a lot of toddler nutrition pages. And then when he just stopped eating anything that wasn't a nugget or an egg, all of the posts the posts I was seeing about, oh, your toddler's not getting adequate nutrition if they're doing this, really bothered me to the point that I could feel myself getting like frustrated. You don't know my kid, and I unfollowed a lot of them because why say something mean when you can just unfollow someone?
Yeah. Wow.
But I knew it was because deep down with what I know about nutrition, like they're not wrong. My child's not getting a full spectrum of fruits and vegetables, but also now's not the season where I can enforce it at this age where he's going to have some kind of weird food issues. So I know we say this all the time. We should probably put this on our t-shirts, but like we're all just doing the best we can. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I have one more thing that kind of helps. It's have a plan before birth, but also be flexible. So if you are not pregnant yet or in the middle of your pregnancy and are thinking, oh, well, this is what I want after birth, have a plan and that's great, but just be willing to be flexible. Things happen. So hold your boundary. It's difficult to say be flexible when you're talking about holding your boundary, but for me, my boundary line changed with each kid. Like I knew what I wanted with my son and I held pretty firm to that. And then when my daughter came around, I was like, I'm going to do the same exact thing. And when she was born, I was just more comfortable with other people holding her. I think my mom was there. I think your mom came over the next day. And again, it was still only the people that I let into my boundary. But that plan went from no one's going to see her for 2 weeks to I'm okay. I'm content. I've been here before. I've done this before. So really just listen to your instincts, listen to your gut, because again, you know what's best for your child, and hopefully you're self-aware enough to know what's best for you and your emotional needs too.
That's key. Any other thoughts before we go?
I don't think so.
We appreciate you guys for being here. If you're new, like I don't know, comment on something. Yeah, comment here on YouTube or on our Instagram. We're really excited that you're here. We should have done a welcome.
Oh
maybe
I guess we kind of did it in the last one, but that one was run and gun on move day. So
moving day. Literally, we were there till like midnight.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all right. You moved me twice when I was pregnant, and like 3 other times when I wasn't. So I really gotta stop moving.
We're that's what friends do. But we're really grateful that you're here, and we'll see you next week.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at @underthethe_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.